Going Up Country was the hit song that you had off of that album, and that song is still popular today. It's really identified with Woodstock. I actually heard it today being played on a Geico commercial, I believe. So,
Yeah, that commercial has been played more than any other commercial, especially last year,
really,
and they're still playing it. It's amazing. They're playing it a lot. I just wish I would get the royalties.
you don't get any
But that's
royalties for
another
that?
story.
You don't get any royalties for that?
No,
Jeez. Well, let me just
we get a
ask.
few peanuts here and there. I mean, out of all those commercials on the radio and all that, I may get maybe $45,
Oh my
something like that.
God, that's
Yeah, that's the
that's
total.
wrong. That's morally
Well,
wrong.
yeah, that is wrong. The way we lost our royalties, I don't know if you want to hear the story. It's kind of long, but it is all with detail in my book, Living Blues.
Well, I
And
mean, maybe just in broad strokes, what happened?
well, part of it was the boss that the band suffered before I joined. Just a couple of months before I joined, they got busted in Denver, Colorado. The situation, of course, if you remember in the 60s, marijuana was considered to be a drug as bad as heroin.
Hmm.
Which, by the way, according to the federal government, that's still the fact,
Right.
which is totally wrong. But in those times, everywhere, marijuana was considered a very dangerous drug, and to be, to be incarcerated if you used it. So the guys in the band, I was not in the band at the time, but they tell me they got planted. They got planted by some kid that was friends with Bob Haidt, and maybe he was involved with the police. Because what happened is that Chet Helms, the creator of the Family Dog and the Avalon Ballroom in San Francisco, he opened a club in Denver, Colorado, which was like a hippie club, like the Fillmore and the Avalon that I mentioned. And there was this sheriff in Denver called John Gray. They used to call him the Wyatt Earp of the West. He had made a pledge that he was going to get rid of all the long hairs of Colorado. He will get rid of all of them. And he was like really, really a bad guy, a real fascist.
Right.
And I guess he arranged for the band to get planted and for us to get busted. The problem was that he could not bust the place because Chet Helms was a smart businessman and he had complied with all the regulations that the city had put for him to open his club. So his club was going on, and there was nothing that he could do besides harassing. It was a constant harassment from the police to the club. They were always showing up and trying to just giving Chet Helms a bad time and making him close the club. That's what they wanted. They wanted to sacrifice that club. They didn't feel that it matched with the idea of what Denver should be about. So they couldn't bust the club, so they decided to bust the band. And that's what, when the great tragedy happening, the band gets busted, the manager is desperate, he runs to Liberty Records to talk to Al Bennett, the president of Liberty, and he goes, I need $10,000 advance to get the boys out of jail. So Al Bennett goes, you guys have one record out, this is after the first record. You are a blues band, you are already notorious for being a marijuana smokers, you are outlaws, now you are in jail, your first album didn't really do that good, the critics love it, but, it's not, a hit record is not selling that much. I will lend you, or I will give you the $10,000 in exchange for the band's publishing. That was the beginning of the tragedy. So Skip had no choice. He had to get the boys out of jail. $10,000 then is like, $50,000 now.
Right.
And he had to get the boys out of jail, so he took the offer.
Wow.
And remember, too, that in those times, most record companies owned at least half of the publishing from the artists. So it was not really abnormal for a company to all of a sudden buy the rest of the publishing. Of course, time went by, and all of a sudden On the Road Again becomes a hit record. So Mr. Al Bennett made actually $1 million out of that $10,000 investment. And we lost all our publishing.
But that was the
That was
case
part
for
of the royalties that we lost
but
because of that bust.
but for going up country, I mean, going up the country, you guys recorded that later, so it was the
It
deal
didn't
was even
make
for
any.
future songs.
They took the publishing for every song made, even now.
Wow, Jesus
It was like
Christ.
a forever, lifetime thing. We've been trying to find it out and skip claims to have an attorney that is going to get us some royalties back and some. I mean, it's been already 50 years, or more than 50 years, and
Right.
I don't know if we'll ever get some of that money. But most of it ended up in Alan Wilson's family. They got some share of it somehow. But us, the guys that play the song, we don't get anything. Not only on that, but in all the other ones.
That sucks, and you have some insurance company that's making money off of your creativity.
Yeah, well, that's part of the horror stories of the music business, especially from 60s and 70s when record companies were really ruthless, and they will have this corporate agreements. Like for example, Woodstock recorded the Woodstock book, and that came out in Warner Brothers. And again, we didn't get any royalties there because Warner Brothers and United Artists, which purchased Liberty Records, they made some kind of a corporate sweetheart deal, and they say, no, those guys signed their agreement, their royalties up to us because of whatever happened there. So the royalties from Warner Brothers also go into United Artists and not to the band.